The Lincoln 1-cent coin of 1960 represents a powerful moment in American coinage history because it stands at the crossroads between traditional metal composition and the massive economic and cultural changes of the mid-20th century. The coin continues the legendary Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making it the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical person. The 1960 penny carries forward the iconic portrait of Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB quietly appear on the shoulder truncation, a detail that had once caused controversy in 1909, but by 1960 had become a respected signature of American numismatic art. The obverse design shows Lincoln facing right with the words, "In God we trust," above his head, liberty to the left, and the date, 1960, to the right, a layout that had become deeply familiar to Americans by this time, symbolizing stability, continuity, and trust during a world shaped by Cold War tension, technological advancement, and social transformation. The reverse of the 1960 Lincoln cent still features the wheat ears design, officially known as the wheat reverse, created by Brenner, showing two curved wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum across the top. This design symbolized agricultural strength, prosperity, and national unity, and 1960 would be among the final years this reverse was used, before being replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. However, 1960 is unique because it exists during the early Memorial era, but collectors often connect it strongly to the classic wheat cent legacy because of its metal content and production style. The composition of the 1960 penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, making it part of the final generation of solid copper. Lincoln cents, before rising copper prices, forced the United States Mint to alter the composition in later decades. These copper cents have a distinct weight of 3.11 grams and a warm reddish tone when preserved well, which modern collectors admire deeply. In 1960, the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents at two primary facilities, Philadelphia and Denver, with Philadelphia coins lacking a mint mark and Denver coins carrying a small D below the date. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion pennies in 1960, reflecting massive demand driven by population growth, booming commerce, and the expansion of vending machines, parking meters, and everyday cash transactions. The Denver Mint also produced hundreds of millions, making the 1960 penny one of the most widely circulated coins in American history. Despite its high mintage, the coin carries historical importance because it reflects the economic confidence of post-war America during the presidency of Dwight D. Eisenhower, a period marked by suburban expansion, interstate highways, and the space race. The year 1960 itself was historically significant as it marked the election year of John F. Kennedy, the first televised presidential debates, and a cultural shift toward modern America. While these pennies quietly moved through pockets and cash registers, they witnessed dramatic events, including civil rights movements, nuclear tensions, and technological revolutions. Many Americans born in this era remember copper pennies like the 1960 cent as everyday objects, tied to childhood candy purchases, newspaper machines, and savings jars. From a numismatic perspective, the 1960 Lincoln cent is especially famous for its varieties, most notably the 1960 small date and large date varieties, which exist for both Philadelphia and Denver Mint coins. The difference lies in the shape and spacing of the numbers in the date, particularly the 0 and 6, which appear higher and tighter in the small date variety, making it scarcer and more desirable to collectors. Identifying these varieties requires careful examination and has turned the 1960 penny into a classic coin-hunting favorite for generations of collectors, roll searchers, and beginners. The existence of these varieties reflects the manual hubbing processes used by the mint at the time, before the adoption of more precise modern technology. Errors and varieties, like repunched mint marks, die, Cracks off center strikes and double-die obverses have also been discovered among 1960 cents, adding excitement and value to otherwise common coins. While most circulated examples are worth only face value, uncirculated red examples, especially small-date coins, can command premium prices, and certified high-grade specimens have sold for impressive sums at auction. The copper content alone gives these pennies intrinsic appeal, especially during times of rising metal prices, making them popular among hoarders and long-term collectors. The Lincoln Cent series as a whole serves as a visual timeline of American history, and the 1960 issue represents the calm before major change. Just 12 years later, copper would be removed almost entirely from the penny, forever altering its feel, sound, and appearance, making the 1960 Lincoln Cent part of the last generation of what many collectors consider real pennies, solid, heavy, and rich in color. The coin also holds educational value as it introduces new collectors to concepts such as mint marks, varieties, grading, luster, and strike quality. Many numismatists today began their journey by searching through rolls of pennies, hoping to find a small date, 1960, or a brilliant red uncirculated example hidden among dull brown circulated coins beyond numismatics. The Lincoln 1-cent coin of 1960 is a cultural artifact representing American values, thrift, daily commerce, and national identity. It passed through millions of hands, silently connecting people across states, social classes, and generations, from factory workers to school children, from shopkeepers to soldiers. Its simple design masked the complex history of the nation it served. And today, holding a 1960 penny is like holding a small piece of American mid-century life, a time when coins were built to last, and every cent carried weight, both physically and symbolically. This coin reminds us that even the smallest denomination can carry immense historical meaning, making the Lincoln 1-cent coin of 1960 not just a common penny, but a lasting witness to a defining era in United States history. As the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent continued circulating across the United States, it became a silent participant in everyday American life. At a time when cash ruled nearly every transaction, grocery stores, gas stations, movie theaters, diners, and corner shops all relied on copper pennies for exact change and pricing psychology, with items commonly marked at 99 cents, making the penny essential to commerce. The 1960 cent therefore was not just currency, but a tool that shaped consumer behavior and business strategy during a booming economy. This era saw unprecedented automobile ownership, suburban housing growth, and consumer spending, and the Lincoln cent flowed constantly through this expanding system. The sound and weight of a copper penny, dropping into a cash drawer or clinking in a pocket, was part of the national rhythm. Children collected them in jars. Schools encouraged penny drives for charity, and churches used them in fundraising activities, reinforcing the coin's presence in social and cultural traditions. From a manufacturing standpoint, the year 1960 reflects a transitional phase in United States mint operations. The minting process still relied heavily on mechanical presses and human oversight. Die preparation was less automated than today, which explains why date size variations like the small date and large date occurred. These differences were not intentional at the time, but rather the result of multiple hubs being used to prepare working dies. Such inconsistencies would later be eliminated through modernized production techniques, but in 1960, they added character and unpredictability to coinage, giving future collectors something to search for. Decades later, the Denver Mint in particular was known for stronger strikes on Lincoln cents, while Philadelphia coins often showed softer details on Lincoln's hair and coat due to high production pressure to meet demand. These strike differences are now studied closely by numismatists and grading services. The political and historical climate of 1960 adds further depth to the coin's story. The Cold War was at its height. The United States and Soviet Union were locked in ideological and technological competition. The U-2 spy plane incident occurred that year, heightening tensions, and Americans lived with the constant background fear of nuclear conflict. Yet despite these anxieties, daily life continued, and the humble penny remained a symbol of normalcy, stability, and continuity. President Eisenhower's image was still fresh in public memory, and Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the coin served as a reminder of unity, leadership, and perseverance, values deeply important. During uncertain times, the Lincoln cent thus carried not only monetary value but psychological reassurance, reminding citizens of resilience and national identity. The educational role of the 1960 Lincoln cent cannot be overstated. Many young Americans of the 1960s and 1970s learned basic math, counting, saving, and responsibility through pennies. Parents taught children that every cent mattered and that saving started. Small piggy banks filled slowly with copper coins, and the 1960 cent became part of family memories, allowance routines, and first purchases. This emotional connection has carried into adulthood, making the coin nostalgic for many collectors today who seek out coins from their birth year or childhood era. In numismatic circles, the 1960 Lincoln cent occupies a unique position. It is common enough to be accessible, yet complex enough to be studied in depth. The small date variety in particular became famous through coin guides and hobby magazines, encouraging roll hunting and sparking interest in penny collecting. Throughout the late 20th century, this phenomenon helped sustain the coin collecting hobby during periods when silver coinage was disappearing from circulation. After 1964, the copper penny remained, a tangible collectible still found in everyday change, and the 1960 cent played a role in keeping numismatics alive at the grassroots level. Another important aspect of the 1960 penny is its long-term survival rate. Copper is durable and resistant to wear, compared to later zinc-based pennies, which corrode easily. As a result, many 1960 cents remain in excellent condition even after decades of circulation. High-grade red and red-brown examples are still discovered in old collections, bank rolls, and estate hoards. These survivals allow modern collectors to study mint luster dye polish marks and strike quality, offering insight into mid-century minting practices. The transition that followed in later years gives the 1960 Lincoln cent added significance as inflation increased and copper prices rose. The cost of producing a penny approached and eventually exceeded its face value, leading to composition changes in 1982. This shift marked the end of the classic copper cent era, and coins like the 1960 penny became representatives of a bygone standard, heavier, richer, and more durable. Many collectors refer to them as real pennies, a term reflecting both material quality and emotional attachment. Culturally, the phrase "a penny saved is a penny earned" remained common during this era. Reinforcing thrift and responsibility, the Lincoln cent served as a daily reminder of that philosophy, and the 1960 issue circulated during a time when saving and long-term thinking were deeply ingrained values. The coin therefore stands as a symbol of mid-century American mindset, practical, optimistic, and forward-looking. Today, the Lincoln 1-cent coin of 1960 is studied, collected, and preserved, not because it is rare in absolute terms, but because it tells a complete story of American life, industry, economics, and culture. It bridges the past and future, connecting early 20th century design traditions with the modern era. And as long as collectors continue to search rolls, study varieties, and share stories, the legacy of the 1960 Lincoln cent will continue proving that even the smallest coin can carry a powerful and lasting history.